What's up, guys? I am on my way to go train legs at my new gym right now. I'm going to be testing out a pendulum squat for the first time ever today, which is cool. I've never used one before and I've heard good things, so pretty excited about that. But I'm 4 days nicotine free right now, which is very nice. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how I actually quit nicotine. Because I know it's not that easy, and I tried a couple of times before I was actually able to do it successfully. So I will put up a picture on the screen of what my plan was when I first set up my quitting protocol. I used the strategy of tapering down instead of going cold turkey. I did modify it a bit from what you see on the papers, so I'll talk about that right now. But one thing I would definitely advise if you are going to try quitting nicotine, I shouldn't really say this because I don't want to discourage anybody from quitting. I mean, if you're going to quit, it's obviously a good thing, but I would definitely recommend making sure you're in a good place in life where you don't have a lot of other stuff going on. Because the reason that I had to prolong quitting and try it multiple times before I was even finally able to do it was just because the first couple times I tried, I was deep into a contest prep at one point. I had to be productive at work at another point. So you already have enough to deal with in these situations, and you kind of have to be performing mentally. And if you're dealing with the withdrawals that come with quitting nicotine, which, depending on your response and how much you've been using and how long you've been using for and all that stuff, the withdrawals can be pretty intense. So I made sure to get to a point where I was finished with my cut. Work stuff in general just kind of sucks as it is right now, so I'm not too concerned with my mental performance at the moment. I'm in my rebound phase, so I have enough energy from food to get my training in and all that stuff. So I'm in a pretty good place where I was able to try and quit. And all right, so basically what I did was, when I was using nicotine, I was going through 1 can of Zyn every day, the 6 milligram ones. So that's like 15 pouches a day. And I was doing that for probably a good year. So my plan here was, the first thing that I did was I basically cut the usage in half. So I wake up at 6 a.m. I go to bed around like 8 p.m. every night. So what I did was, for day one, I cut it down to 7 pouches a day right off the bat. And then what I did was I swapped out half of the pouches for 3 milligrams. So it was a way for me to taper down my dosage without actually using less pouches. So at 6 a.m. I would take a 3 milligram pouch. At 8 a.m. every 2 hours throughout the day I would alternate between a 3 and a 6. And then on day 2, I swapped out one of those 6 milligram pouches for another 3 milligram. So instead of going back and forth between 3 and 6, what I would do is 3 milligram, 3 milligram, 6, 3 milligram, 3 milligram, 6, and then another 3. Day 3, I did the same thing again. I swapped out one more pouch. So there was only one 6 milligram pouch left in the middle of the day. The others were all 3 milligrams. Day 4, I swapped out one more and I was left with all 3 milligram pouches. So 7 total throughout the day, one every 2 hours. And then I had my plan set up for days 5 through 7. And this is where I adjusted things on the fly a little bit because I didn't actually do it this way. But I planned it so that days 5 through 7, I would have 3 days where I would only use 5 3 milligram pouches a day. That would be one every 3 hours instead of every 2. So 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m. I actually only did this for 1 day. And then the next day what I did was I went to 4 pouches per day. So it was 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. Then I switched to 3 pouches per day, 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. And I was supposed to do that for 3 days, but I only did it for 2. And what I did, how I determined whether I was going to move on to the next step at each one of these phases was kind of like how I was sleeping and how I was feeling throughout the day. So if I had like really intense headaches or something, or I couldn't sleep at all, I would continue with the same protocol for a couple more days or one more day until I felt a little bit better. And once I felt a little bit better, I would move on to the next phase. So I did 2 days at 2 pouches a day. And then I did 1 day at 1 pouch a day. So it was just when I first woke up. At 6 a.m. I would take 1 pouch. And I was supposed to continue that for a period of time until I felt like I could actually pull the trigger and quit. But I honestly didn't feel that horrible after like the first day. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut it here, and I'm just gonna stop. And that's what I did. So the first 2 days after quitting cold turkey, or after quitting altogether, I should say, I had some intense headaches throughout the day, and I wasn't able to sleep that well. It took me a while to get to sleep. I would wake up a couple times throughout the night. But aside from that, it wasn't too bad. And then now 4 days in, I'm pretty much like good to go. I don't really see any issues. I don't feel bad. And I did wake up a couple times throughout the night, the last couple nights, but that could be attributed to anything. I mean, I'm eating a bunch of calories right now. I'm training my ass off. I do drink a lot of caffeine. So, you know, it could be anything, not necessarily the nicotine, but that is how I quit. If you're trying to quit, let me know what your strategy is in the comments below, or if you try my strategy, let me know if it works for you. I'm at the gym now, so that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time.